eyes for a second and picture a typical classroom. Okay, open them. This video won't be very interesting or useful if you keep them closed the whole time. What did you picture? If you're a product of the typical American education system, chances are you pictured something like what you experienced when you were in school. A room full of desks, possibly in rows, with students listening to the teacher explain a concept. When this concept was the best we knew, it was fine. But when you know better, you're supposed to do better, right? On the surface, there's nothing particularly wrong with the traditional classroom. Students have indeed been learning this way for centuries. It seems to promote equality and meritocracy, since all students are learning the same ideas at the same rates, implying that those who pay the most attention and work the hardest will be the most successful. But when we begin to peel back the layers, it becomes easy to see that the traditional classroom is not working for all students. Students who need more time to learn a concept are forced to be ready by test day and move along with the rest of the class anyway. And students who grasp content more quickly are forced to wait for the rest of the class to catch up before they move ahead in their learning. So in reality, the traditional classroom only successfully serves about a third of its students, at best. If your doctor found that she was only keeping a third of her patients alive, she would look for a new way of practicing medicine to save more lives. If a lawyer only found themselves winning a third of their cases, they would take a look at their methodology and try something new. And if a tech company only found themselves selling a third of the products that rolled off the assembly line, they would redesign their product. This is a useful way to look at personalized learning. It is a redesign of traditional education to meet the needs of more learners. It allows the educational experience to be customized to meet the needs of each individual student and invites learners to take ownership of their learning by providing them with the kind of voice and choice in the educational process that is not necessarily available to them in the traditional classroom. In order for personalized learning to be implemented successfully, however, all stakeholders must have an understanding of what it entails. This means that teachers must be trained in the development and implementation of personalized learning systems. Parents must be educated in the inherent differences between personalized learning and the traditional classroom. And students must embrace the cultural shift from teacher-directed to student-centered experiences. In this lesson, teachers, parents, and students will not only get an overview of personalized learning, but you will gain an understanding of its practical implications in the classroom and see how it can significantly affect learning outcomes, especially for gifted and talented students who often feel held back from achieving their potential in a traditional classroom. So, what is personalized learning? Well, the term personalized learning can be applied to any number of instructional approaches and academic support strategies that are designed to address the specific learning needs, interests, and backgrounds of a diverse student population. In short, you might think of it as tailoring the learning experience to the individual student, rather than expecting one learning experience to meet the needs of all students. If you are a teacher, you might think this sounds familiar. After all, teachers have been differentiating instruction for students for a very, very long time. Differentiation is when teachers use assessment data to group students according to their understanding of a given concept and develop lessons that will meet the needs of each group. But personalized learning takes this a step farther. First, rather than grouping students, personalized learning considers the learning needs of each individual student. Next, while a good personalized learning plan uses student assessment data to set learning goals, data is not the only factor used to design learning experiences. Personalized learning also takes into account student interests, multiple intelligences, preferred methods of learning, and cultural background. Initially, this may sound like a lot of work on the part of teachers. After all, teachers often have upwards of 25 to 30 students in a classroom, and designing individualized lesson plans for each of them simply does not sound doable, even for the most superpowered caffeine-fueled educators. However, it is not as impossible as it sounds. In fact, it is not only possible, but can often result in less planning and preparation time for teachers. To understand how this works requires a mindset shift, however. If you try to apply the principles of traditional learning to the personalized classroom, it does indeed seem like a daunting task. In the traditional classroom, the teacher must prepare lectures and hands-on activities, select appropriate supplemental materials, and deliver instruction in an effective and enthusiastic way. This is exhausting to even think about doing for one student or one classroom, let alone 30 individuals all working at their own pace. But in the personalized classroom, the teacher is no longer at the center of the action, planning, preparing, and delivering all of the learning. Because the personalized classroom shifts ownership of the learning onto the student, they are making choices about how they learn and how they demonstrate learning. The role of the teacher, then, becomes one of facilitator, coach, and mentor. And much of the teacher's time is spent having discussions with students to help them set goals, monitoring their learning, and analyzing data to determine focus areas for growth. If you are a parent, you might wonder how personalized learning will affect your child's performance and prepare them for a successful future. Thankfully, there are millions of examples of students who have benefited from personalized learning throughout their education and gone on to careers and futures that are often more successful than those of their peers who were educated in a traditional setting. Homeschool students. Parents of homeschool students have historically personalized learning for their children without ever giving it a name. They develop learning experiences that cater to their children's interests, abilities, and backgrounds every day. According to the National Home Education Research Institute, homeschooled students have traditionally performed 15 to 30 percentile points above students educated in traditional classrooms on standardized tests. And they score above average on college admissions tests, such as the ACT and SAT. Furthermore, an overwhelming majority of peer-reviewed studies on success into adulthood show that adults who were home educated succeed and perform statistically significantly better than those who were educated in more traditional learning environments. While some of these successes may be attributed to the consistently high expectations and support that parents of home-educated students provide, it is more likely that student choice and ownership of their learning, combined with student-centered and student-paced instruction, creates better learning outcomes for students. By applying the methodologies that parents already use with their own children, teachers can replicate much of that success in the classroom. If you are a student, you might wonder how personalized learning will affect your grades and workload. The goal of personalized learning is not for students to do more work, but for the work that students do to be more meaningful and effective. In a traditional learning environment, the entire class might listen to a lecture on a topic, complete 3 or 4 assignments on that topic to support the learning, and finish the unit with a test. But that model of learning does not take into account students' background or prior learning experiences. What if you learned that concept last year and still remember everything you need to know about it? Or what if a quick review jogs your memory and then you're ready to move on? In a traditional classroom, you would still have to complete those assignments alongside your classmates before taking the test. But in a personalized learning environment, you could quickly demonstrate your mastery of the subject and move on to the next topic without waiting for your classmates to catch up. Likewise, what if you need more than a lecture and 3 or 4 assignments in order to learn a particular concept? The traditional classroom demands that you are ready to take the test when your classmates are, and doesn't allow for differences in individual learning speed. But in a personalized learning environment, you can spend more time participating in meaningful learning experiences and content review, and decide when you are ready to demonstrate your mastery of the concept. The biggest shift in a student's mindset that is necessary for personalized learning to work is one from completion to competency. In a traditional learning environment, students are often given credit for completing assignments rather than progressing toward learning goals. Personalized learning environments change that by grading students not for merely completing work, but for learning content. For some students, this may mean that more work is necessary to achieve learning goals, while for others who learn more quickly, it may mean they get to advance their learning more rapidly and spend more time doing work that is meaningful to them. So, how does personalized learning benefit gifted and talented students? Well, in traditional learning environments, gifted students often find themselves held back from their potential while they wait for classmates to catch up. Personalized learning environments allow students who learn more quickly to advance through content faster, providing the mental stimulation that they crave, reducing boredom and apathy, and increasing their enthusiasm with respect to school. Furthermore, gifted students often have a wide range of interests. The personalized learning environment not only provides them with the opportunity and space to explore their varied interests, but by allowing them to advance through content more quickly, it provides them with more time that they can spend diving deeper into content, pursuing passion projects, and selecting learning experiences that excite them. Regardless of whether you are looking at it from the perspective of a teacher, parent, or student, it is clear that a shift toward personalized learning is a much needed redesign in education. When we know better, we do better. And personalized learning environments will simply help more students achieve success more often. If you want to learn more about personalized learning, its implementation, or how it might transform gifted education in particular, please explore the resources I've attached to this video. Also, if you're interested in learning more about gifted education in general, be sure to check out my other short videos in this 4-part series. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. And remember, raising a gifted kiddo isn't always easy, but it is always worth it.